Okay, I think I have everything up and running. Okay. Welcome once again to another episode of what I'm calling No Man's Land, where me and a friend will be talking about different issues around the world or in society. Today we've chosen to talk about toxic masculinity versus toxic femininity. What what's more danger what's more dangerous, what's more annoying, I should say, stuff like that. um and just man, uh bleh. Red pill culture, stuff like that, thing like that, like maybe a misandry and more, what's the word, incelly culture. Those are bits that we're going to be talking about today.
All right,
uh
hello.
Yes, and this here's my friend Howard. Let me
All right, hello,
switch over
everyone.
to my chatting scene. That way people can
All
see
right,
what it is that I'm looking at.
beautiful. All right, so where do you want to start?
Where I start. So the first picture that I have up right now was the Adria Dworkin. Is that how you pronounce it? Andrea
Andrew,
Dworkin.
Andrew, Andrea Dworkin. So, first of all, I'm willing to bet most people aren't too familiar with her. She's a figure who's kind of disappeared over the years. So, she was considered a radical feminist back in the day. Like, in many ways, she was more extreme than what you see today. And she was kind of a mainstream figure. And she was like an actual Marxist, not in a kind of you know, rhetorical sense. She was a real Marxist. She
Okay.
eventually became anti porn and became popular with right wingers, which was kind of a fascinating figure. You have this Marxist, hardcore feminist who was popular with evangelicals towards the end.
Yeah. I um I almost get that. Things I've been noticing the more I've gotten into politics is that usually more right leaning or religious bodies will latch on to basically anyone if they share one of the more less savory aspects of someone. So like with this one, the being anti-porn and everything, of course, Puritans from the religious side and right wingers who want to control, and right wingers who usually want to control women's bodies. Of course, they would say like, yeah, make sure women don't have any choice over their own body, kind of stuff.
Sure.
Uh,
And what's interesting is you can see the logic. You can see how right wingers would be desperate for some anti porn arguments that weren't religiously based. So for
mhm.
someone to come forward and do that legwork for them was affected for them. Now, a little off topic here, though, but what's interesting is I think right wingers are better at welcoming people with one difference in opinion, whereas left
Yeah.
wingers, for a very long time, will not let a fellow traveler in.
Oh
They used to be
yeah, that's a
better
big
at. They
deal.
used to be better at it. It's become a lot worse lately.
Yeah, I I honestly, I don't understand. I don't understand that myself. As a more, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can say traditional leftist because I feel like I'm more radical compared to most leftists.
You're definitely
Um,
radical. You're definitely radical compared to what's up to liberal on TV. There's no doubt
yeah.
about that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You feel moderate in comparison to
To a
leftist
lot of,
Twitter.
oh, definitely. Because what you just said about like not being willing to welcome in travelers and stuff like that. Yeah, that's definitely an issue that happens on happens on the left. If I remember correctly, like if I remember correctly, there's like this big issue. There's like always this big issue that people have tried to push and talk to people about teaching things where I think I mentioned this, I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not, or in one of our chats on Twitter, that there's always this weird fucking thing of a left wing person going, "It's not my job to teach you."
I don't think you and I have ever discussed this, but yeah, this annoys the fuck out of me too, because
Yeah,
it's a condescending cop out. It's kind of in sync with what we were talking about last time,
yeah,
where you're going to get a fist bump from people who already agree with you because you were an asshole to your opponent, but you haven't actually brought forth any kind of argument.
yeah. Not like yeah. Like just a couple of days ago, I was dealing with some people who because I disagreed with them about another user who uh happened to be an asshole, but she didn't do anything to deserve death threats. She's like
Well,
she just
I mean, no one deserves death threats outside of
yeah,
outside of an actual Hitler type or something.
yeah. Then the problem is of course like this weird group which I hesitate to call people who are like this leftist, even though they try and label themselves as it. They always scream. It always screams "Fed" to me whenever I see it happen. Like they're trying to sow dissent by being the way that they were being. But
I mean,
yeah,
it's always possible some of them are feds, but
you
you
know.
know, I think most of them are just spoiled children who
Oh
have discovered this new toy of leftism.
yeah, it's a whole click culture. It's a click culture thing where it's like I have my special group that makes me feel nice and awesome. I'll defend it with my life, no matter how bad it becomes almost religious in a sense without a higher deity.
No, absolutely. And I've noticed that a lot of people who fit into the various leftist cliques, whatever you want to call it, if it's a feminist group, if it's a quote unquote woke group, you know, in my personal life, as an antidote, I've noticed a lot of them had really strict religious backgrounds and they've like completely abandoned it. And it's learned behavior. It's like they're taking the learned behavior from their religious upbringing and brought it to this new religion.
Oh yeah, that definitely is what it feels. That's what it feels like. That sometimes angry atheist leftists who do it. Uh, because they're still mad at the religion, but it's still they never learned the critical thinking skills or a way to cope with their own thoughts on certain things. So they kind of bring in that religious thinking into their more atheistic ideals and stuff like that. So
Right, right. I wish you were a little older because I feel like you would have been there for the huge atheist movement of like '08 or so. Because at the time I was kind of a new atheist, quote unquote. It kind of felt like taking on this new religion that wasn't religion, and looking back on it, it was so fucking toxic.
oh yeah,
I agree with a lot of what came out of it, but
yeah.
it really did kind of morph into a little bit of a religion.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's where the whole term of Reddit atheist comes in now, where everyone's talking about like the extremely toxic ones that are so mad about being lied to for so many years that instead of
Yeah.
taking the time to go like, oh, let me go ahead and do this, let me go ahead and like actually chill and be sure that I'm not seeming like a crazy person. They just
There
kind of
was a group. There was a group back then. I can't think of their name. It was a real turning point for me. I was like, "Fuck these people." There was a group back then that literally basically formed a non-religion religion. I think they called themselves like New Atheists or Thinking Atheists or something like that.
oh
And we can look into that later. It's
yeah, well
hysterical if you read about it. It's really cult-like.
oh yeah, I think I know of it. I of course also know about the Satanic Temple, where that's actually just a parody religion. They hold faux rituals just to fuck around. Like they'll do it
Yeah.
usually in public to screw with Christians, and
Oh
I
yeah,
find that more funny.
they're yeah, that is funny, and they're brilliant in many ways. But I'm willing to bet there are some people in there who are kind of they're flirting with their dogma and slowly kind of becoming religious
Yeah,
like you
it's
can't if you spend all day every day kind of repeating a doctrine and they do have a doctrine, it's eventually going
yeah,
to start to look like
like
religion
an
that you're
actual
rebelling
thing.
against.
And of course,
Yeah.
I've of course seen people be a little too much, but we were way off topic to what we were going with already.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, well that's okay. I mean,
that happens.
we're not on fucking MSNBC. There isn't a producer telling us that
Yeah,
we gotta get the real topic going
yeah.
before a commercial
There's
break.
no
It
one
doesn't
behind
fucking
the
matter.
curtain. There's no one behind the curtain tapping a watch. Come on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But all right, let's get back on topic.
Yeah,
So what's the
yeah.
first quote you got?
So the first quote I decided to have had it up. From Andrew Dworkin was that every woman's son is her potential betrayer and also the inevitable rapist or exploiter of another woman.
Yeah.
I
So so I sent this quote to you,
yeah
and part of the reason that I sent this quote is I don't think people are aware that stuff that fucking radical, like this woman used to be on CNN and PBS.
yeah.
I don't. I think a lot of people are always stuck with this idea that these new, fun liberal ideas that were just shouting at the rooftops are so revolutionary and so far ahead of their time.
They're
And,
not.
they're not. They're fucking not. You can go back and find people in like 1910 talking like this.
Mhm.
But no, I find this to be is every once in a while, a right winger will kind of parody modern feminism by saying, that feminists think all men are rapists. Maybe once in a while you'll meet a lunatic who will say that and they're kind of half joking. I thought this was the closest thing there is to a credible person saying that.
Yeah, that's yeah. Because she's like one of the bigger ones. Uh, the bigger ones like actually going out there onto the different shows, like you said.
Yeah, and I believe Harvard celebrated her shortly before she died. So this is a credible person who said this,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Now, I respect Dorkin. There's a lot of stuff from her that I like. There's a lot of stuff I hate. I think this one is pretty reprehensible because it not only does it kind of declare all men are either rapists or exploiters, it doesn't create a pathway to a genuine relationship.
Oh yeah,
If
definitely
you
not.
accept if you accept this quote full stop, then you're down this rabbit hole where you don't believe in any kind of consensual relationship or
Or
loving
equality,
relationship.
or equality among the genders and sexes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Because
so one thing I like. Go ahead.
yeah, because it's fun that we did choose this topic for this week because this past few days, someone on Twitter by the name of Carl Max um
Okay.
has upset a ton of rad femmes pointing out like clear misandry that appears to be some that appears to harbor itself among certain sections of the left, like mainly online left. Um,
Sure. Well, that actually ties in with the next quote from her, or
yep.
one of the points I wanted to highlight with the next quote from her.
Do you want to go? Because with this one, I feel like we both agree. But with this, it's a little. It's with this quote, it's just it's not it's not helpful to getting togetherness with the people of the world.
Absolutely.
It's
And another reason I wanted to show this and to talk a little bit about this,
mm,
I know Dworkin's work well enough to confidently say she doesn't even believe this quote. Like the one person out there who credibly said this, I'm very confident was going for what
was
would
going
have
for
been the
shock
80s
factor.
version of clickbait. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the 80s version of clickbait.
Yeah, get people talking about it. It's just like, oh, how could she say this? Well, here's actually what it's supposed to mean, and go on to like that. Sometimes I'm okay with that. I'm so trying to avoid doing that because I almost fear the backlash of saying something too controversial, and then I get a bunch of fucking people sending me death threats for something that I wasn't
Oh,
actually believing.
absolutely. Well, the thing about it is just kind of speaking for shock value. It's something that can be fun in a small group with people who know you, who understand when you're kind of joking. But in this day and age,
With the
the goal
internet,
of it is the internet, and the goal of it for most people is to go viral. I don't understand why people want to be known for saying something deliberately fucking stupid.
it's it's that mindset that's been burned into us of all publicity is good publicity. Doesn't matter how good or
Yeah.
bad.
No, absolutely. All right. So let's move on to the next quote.
Okay, got that up. Uh,
All right. Now,
Here,
go
I'll
ahead.
go ahead
Because
and read it
I
out.
can't, yeah, I can't see. So he's got to read everything.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. You think intercourse is a private act. It's not. It's a social act. Men are sexually predatory in life. Women are sexually manipulative. When two individuals come together and leave their gender outside the bedroom door, then they make love. Andrew Dworkin.
See, now what we were just talking about a minute ago.
Mhm.
So here you have a woman who is comfortable with borderline saying all men are rapists, coming pretty fucking close to it. And yet at the same time, she's able to utter the words, women are manipulative with sex. What's one thing that's become very toxic, and it sounds like what that Karl Marx guy, what was his name? Cal
Uh,
Marx?
Carl Max Max.
Karl, Karl Marx,
It's a
Karl Marx
fun
reference.
little
Karl
pun.
Marx reference, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways,
It
so
is.
so I'm sure Karl Marx had kind of struck a nerve because modern day feminists, while not as extreme as Dworkin in that sense, you'll almost never hear a modern day feminist criticize women in general or
Oh,
criticize the
no.
feminist movement. And here we have someone who's capable of saying all men are rapists, who is also capable of criticizing women to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's actually, and I feel like the best form of talk the best way I should say of talking about issues is being able to critique not only the thing you're against but also the thing that you're for,
Oh,
kind of a
absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. I feel like you are very much going down a cultist path if you can't at least explain your opponent's view a little bit.
Oh yeah, it makes it also ends up showing just how smart you are if you're able to like being uh I forget where I heard this. I think it was Forrest Valkai who said this. When you're smart enough to understand a subject, you'll also be smart enough uh to understand the what's the word? The objections to it. That's in terms of science stuff, but it works with social things too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, back to this quote here.
Yeah.
I agree with it to a certain extent. And when I read this quote, I think of something that to me is the foundation of what sucks about the male experience versus the female experience. And, society has led us to a point where men are expected to do all of the initiating. And if there was a hardcore feminist on the panel right now, they'd probably say that that traces back to 15th century patriarchy, where men own women and they've got to approach them like property to buy. And that's true.
Hmm.
That's probably 100% the best explanation for it.
Oh,
But
we
I
haven't.
would say that, but I would say that from the 60s on, a lot of these small little shifts in dynamics could have easily changed. And this
Hmm.
one hasn't, and that's fine. But men are expected to do the approaching, and a lot of the toxically masculine traits in the dating world are largely due to this. And a
Yeah.
lot of the toxically feminine traits are awareness that you can easily manipulate men in that process. And then, of course, the negative sides also come from that, where men face more rejection, women face more harassment.
Yeah. And it makes it women who just want to be left alone due to how society has taught us and everything. Um, it
Now, the
is,
interest,
you know,
go ahead.
no, the yeah
No,
people just talking about these. I literally lost it immediately. Fuck. Because at the same time we also apparently we have a nice little chatter in here asking about Andrea Dworkin talking asking if Andrew Dworkin was ever red pill when it came to when it came to transgender and or AGP, which that doesn't exist. It's not the point. But
so all I know about Dworkin and transgenderism off the top of my head is she appeared on a BBC chat show with a transgender woman, and it's fascinating. I don't believe transgenderism was brought up. I believe this transgender woman was just brought on to talk about male female behaviors, and no one said shit about it.
okay, so it seems like that it seems like it's just like it's a nothing burger of a topic for her. It's like she's not saying she's against. If anything, that's the way that it should be. Just like if someone's transgender in front of you, that's it. They're just there. There's no need to discuss it. Just let them be and talk about actual topics. Uh,
Right.
I am cool with
Absolutely.
that. I am cool with that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Now again, I have no idea. I've never seen her write about the topic, but she was cool in the presence of a transgender person.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Um, okay, what was the next thing the next thing that you were gonna say? Sorry, I want to be able to just
Uh
get that question asked.
oh no, don't worry about it. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and the thing is, I don't believe that women are interested in changing that dynamic of the men doing the chasing in most instances and the women being chased, and that's fine. And this might sound a little silly, but the thing that really made me kind of reflect on this and say women don't want to make this change, and that's fine, is on Bumble, where women are forced to initiate.
Yeah, they're the ones that have to.
An overwhelming majority of the first messages are hi, which is putting the ball in your court to set the tone of the conversation. Right?
Yep,
Hi. When Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, no, because I actually have experience with Bumble. I used to use it, when I was trying to find dates and stuff. It
Yeah.
yeah, what you're saying about like it being high and high is usually the first thing to where then puts the what's the word? Yeah, like you said, it puts the ball back into my course. Like, okay, I guess I'll reply hey, and then I get nothing because I
Yeah,
didn't
you
try
gotta.
because I didn't try anything
Yeah,
later.
that's inviting you to basically open up whatever your line would be on an app where she didn't have to initiate things.
Yep.
And 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 if I had to guess, I'd say like 90% of my Bumble responses were hey or hi or a GIF of someone waving or something like that. So I mean, to me, that really confirms, even though it's a stupid little antidote, that women are not interested in being the ones to initiate, and that's totally fine. But if the world is going to stay that way, there should be some sympathy for men and how difficult that process can be at first,
Oh
because
no,
it's like a
definitely.
skill. Because it's like a skill. It's like anything else. If you're not naturally good at it, you're probably going to suck at it for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely something that people need to focus a little bit more on. Now, of course, one of the arguments slash uh angry tweets that you'll get yelled at you is when you try and bring up that men are dealing or struggling with this kind of stuff, it'll always be, oh yeah, well, are they systemically so and so by different laws and like held down by different laws and stuff like women are. It's
Sure,
like,
and the thing is, that's not an either or conversation. That's a
yeah,
different topic.
exactly.
Like like you can be oppressed in one area and not as oppressed in another area, or even just oppressed in a different way in that area.
Yeah, it's not like
You know,
saying like the thing about oppression is not exactly saying that someone has to is not when we say oppression, we're not saying like the system is a 100% of the time like pushing down on you or even 90%, 50% pushing down on you. It could literally just be like it now sometimes this can end up watering down the word oppression, unfortunately, which is why I prefer to use other words for it. uh Disadvantaged would be a better word, I think. Like men are
yeah,
disadvantaged when it comes to conversations. They can be
sure. And I
uh
don't give a shit what word people do or do not use. I can just say with absolute certainty that if this role reversal was switched, women would quickly have more sympathy for shy men or just men in general who have to do the initiating.
yeah. uh, Sorry, can
And
you repeat it? Sorry,
it,
I got distracted for a second by by our friend in chat.
sure.
Can you repeat that last bit?
Yeah, so I was basically just saying that if the roles were reversed, women would appreciate that process more and would have a little more sympathy for it. And by the way, if the roles were reversed, men would probably understand harassment a lot more too. I mean,
Oh no,
I've been
entirely.
harassed. I mean, I've been
uh
harassed as a man, and I had a guy who thought I was gay, who was literally like stalking me and came to work one day. This was like 15 years ago, and and that was fucked up. And I imagine, okay, what if that happened 2 or 3 times in my life? The effect that that would have.
oh yeah, no, yeah, because what was it? I've seen there. It's slightly anecdotal. It's
Well,
just
this is by the way one thing that drives me crazy
yep.
is liberals are very guilty of dismissing anecdotal evidence, and a
Oh no,
lot of the
yeah, no,
time
no, don't
that's
worry. I'm
true.
not trying to
But this is
be.
oh no 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 but no I'm probably addressing people in the chat more than
That's
you.
fair.
But the thing is, this is a topic. The topic of conversation here is social interactions,
Yeah.
right? Like it's an anecdotal topic. If you're using data to develop your opinions on socialization, you're doing something wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's there's a reason why why one of the reason why one of the what's the word it's a saying about like when it comes to statistics, you know, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. So
Oh, of
it's definitely a
course.
way. It's definitely a way that can manipulate
Well, this is a
conversation.
well, this is also a topic where you can expect that there's a lot of lying done in the polling. Like
Yeah.
if you were to look at data on do you lie to your spouse? You think a liar is telling the truth about that? Do you cheat?
The-
Do you cheat on your spouse? You think that a lot of cheaters are going to admit to that in
that's
that
like a
moment?
that's like a two guardian at the door thing. It's like one of us always
Yeah,
lies, one of us always tells the truth. Like how the fuck do you know?
right, right.
uh
What were you saying?
okay, so but no, yeah, like when I say like when I was saying like the whole the uh might be a little bit more anecdotal. I remember seeing like videos of those social experiments, you know, those fun little videos.
Right,
Um
right. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, sorry. I'm trying to keep my brain like to buffer for some short reason for some reason. But yeah, in these like social videos, it'll be I've seen ones where it would have women kind of start harassing a dude. Like a dude's just kind of there. He's chilling, and a group who are doing the social experiment would send out their women to start talking to this guy. And be like, "Now we're good." And then but then the girl would keep going, and it would show just how uncomfortable and how upset he was getting about this shit. It would take me forever to find the video again. I
No, I've,
know I
I've
saw it.
I've seen content like that, and I saw something like that that was shot in like England in the '60s once,
Yeah,
which is interesting and had the same results. I do think, of course, that if you were to show all the footage of that, I'm willing to bet you'd see a lot of guys who liked the harassment. Whereas if you were to do that experiment with women, you'd find very few who
yeah.
like being harassed in the streets, unless, of course, the guy had serious game.
Now a picture. Now I think an aspect of that is the fact that women are now so used to all of this women are so used to constantly being harassed that it is definitely uh now this big issue. They're used to getting so much attention from men that the harassment allegations of course will come out quicker slash they'll hate it more. And when men are, as you're saying, will might start seem to like it or whatever, it's because of how little attention men get. So it's
Oh,
like,
oh,
wow, I'm getting
absolutely. And
showered with attention. Oh, I love this. I need more of this. Like,
one 100%. Again, it's anecdotal, but at least a few times over the past couple of years, I've had a conversation with a woman who would say things like, and she would be one of those kind of over the top feminists who doesn't want anyone to talk to her, and then might also still turn around and say, "But I haven't been hit on in years. What's wrong with me? Am I not attractive anymore?" And of course, I'm exaggerating what she said, but that's the gist of it. So it goes in a number of different ways. But one thing that I find sad, really, is I'm old enough to remember when it was normal to socialize with people at a bar, and to meet someone at a bar. You know,
hmm,
and I think that it seems like people are trying to avoid whatever harassment comes with that, and of course. It does, and of
it's
course you can still
understandable.
do that, but it's become people are less into it. But what's hysterical to me is I'm willing to bet that you get a lot more dick pics from a DM than you do from actually threatening men at a bar.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. The amount of videos slash tweets or Tumblr posts stuff like that that I've seen of women talking about the heck Bo Burnham does a whole joke about that with his song "Welcome to the Internet," um like how it's getting
I don't
sent dick pics
I
and
don't know that.
everything.
I don't know that one, but yeah.
Oh, you don't know you don't know Bo Burnham?
I know Bo Burnham. I don't know that much of his content.
Yeah, there's a
All
song
right,
called
let's.
Well. Yeah, there's a song. I'll just real quick. There's a song called "Welcome to the Internet," and part of the songs is there's a part of his song in "Welcome to the Internet" where it's simply saying uh if I remember the line correctly, it's a random guy just kindly sent you photos of his cock. It's grainy enough pudding. He just sent you more. Don't act surprised. You know you like it, you whore. That's the line, and it's exactly like the issue that women deal with online and everything. Just it's a constant for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of repeating myself here, but it blows me away. It feels like people have moved online thinking that they're getting away from harassment. I think they're getting more of that online than
Oh
they are meeting people the old fashioned way.
oh yeah, definitely. I feel like while it's and it's what's the word? It's definitely more in quantity now when it's online because then you have all this anonymity. People can make like 5 to 10 accounts that sure it may even just be one person, but it will feel like 10 people with just bombarding you if they want to actually targeting harass you. They might be popular enough that they bring all their friends and they all at once bombard you all at once. So the
Sure.
harassment
And
will yeah.
another thing is you go to your local bar, there's maybe 8 guys who are candidates to harass you. You go online and you get a little bit of an audience, there's millions of guys who are candidates to harass you.
Uh-huh. And
And that's also, I've
yeah.
heard some people make this argument, and it sounds plausible to me, that one issue that's happening with lonely men is you go on a dating app, you're open to guys within like a 20-30 mile radius.
Mhm.
Whereas is back in the day, you live in a small town, you'll be open to some average guy in that small town, which it seems plausible to me
You
to
know,
be a factor.
yeah, pickiness in the pickiness has definitely grown with the advent of dating apps and uh and internet culture and stuff to where you're willing to open up your wide range because it's always because then you're able to swipe through without having to meet them at all or having to talk just like, oh, I like how this guy looks, I don't like how that guy looks, I like how this guy looks, I
Right.
don't like how that guy, just as quickly as possible.
And what's
um
interesting is there's I can't explain it too properly, but I'm pretty confident that the people I've met through online dating, a lot of them I probably wouldn't have gravitated towards in the real world, and vice versa.
Oh yeah, no, that's
So
definitely
it's
a
kind of
thing.
it very quickly kind of shifts who you would gravitate towards in society.
Hmm. Um, I f- I don't know if I can myself say that too much because my preferences have stayed the same no matter what medium I use. I used to go to bars just trying to find someone who was cool. I then obviously I'm now with someone who I met on Twitter. So
Right, right. By that I didn't mean so much that my preferences have changed. I think it's more a matter of
that's more of a
I think
personal thing.
I think no, I think it's more I think it has more to do with me. I think that there's certain people
Yeah.
who like me in an online setting who wouldn't have liked me at a bar and vice versa.
Oh yeah, because that's another fun aspect when it comes to dating. Um, that first impression
Oh yeah.
can change drastically depending on how someone looks. Depending on how someone looks versus how someone speaks, and if you never know what they look like, but you've seen how they speak and how they act when it comes to say certain discourses and
Oh yeah,
things.
speaking is enormous. Like
Hmm.
if you're gravitating towards someone about 2 minutes into a conversation with them, and a lot of it just has to do with the vibe that they're giving off.
Yeah. And because I've had times where I've had times where I've met someone who I thought was pretty attractive. Uh, it was almost impossible to have an actual conversation with them. I lost almost immediate attraction to them the moment they open their mouth.
Oh yeah, happens all the time. All right, let's move on to the next Clipper quote that we have prepared.
Yeah. Let's see here. Which one do I want to go with? Since we're talking about since we're talking about dating more than anything right now, I will go ahead and bring up uh I'll go ahead and bring up the video with the dude hitting on the girl.
All right, cool.
Okay, let's be sure that this is ready to go. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna play. It's about a 2 minute video. I'll play it as much as I feel is needed.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, woman films man persistently hitting on her while she's trying to work.
What?
Are you in high school?
No.
Graduated?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in college?
Mm-hmm.
Where at?
Can.
Okay. That's around here somewhere.
Yeah, it's about 40 minutes.
How old are you?
19. I think you got it. Yep.
What city is Kent in?
Kent.
There's a city called Kent in the college called Kent.
All right. So I'm willing to bet a lot of people have seen that. That went pretty viral maybe a month or two ago, right?
About a minute. Yeah, about a minute should be good should be good. Like I think people get the point. Ugh. I I actually
Okay.
I have like almost a I have almost a small bit of a chill going on my spine whenever I watch this video again, and it's a chill. It's more of a chill of embarrassment than creepiness because
Oh
I
yeah.
can.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's go ahead and start with how she specifically spoke to how she was specifically speaking with him. It was a lot of the one word or 1 to 2 word sentences,
Hmm.
just like almost completely shutting out. But again, she's like doing her job, so she's
Right.
in a way, in the term that I've heard, she's captive audience. She can't exactly leave at this moment. The
Right.
guy would be seen as would be definitely seen as harassing her because she's just trying to work. She doesn't want to deal with this. Um,
Oh, hmm.
there was the and how she had to give a fake. She gave a fake name. She gave a fake school that she used to go to. All that stuff. Uh, I'm guessing, of course, for her safety, due to a constant thing in the culture we have today, where men who get a little will get sometimes get a little a bit obsessive with the girl that they're going after, uh, and making sure you give as little true information to the person you're speaking to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this video is incredibly embarrassing to watch. Like it's like the worst scene from The Office ever, basically.
Oh yeah.
It's that brand of cringe where like you kind of want to laugh but you cringe instead.
Oh, it's yeah.
It,
Oh.
so everything you just said is 100% correct. Now, I had a sales job when I was young, and this was before social media was as big as it is then. So I wasn't too worried about people finding me online and stalking me. But yeah, I mean, like I've been through this many times, and
So it's not
it's
even
one of
about
those
people.
things where people shouldn't catastrophize it too much, but
Like
they
white
also
people
shouldn't minimize it.
have.
You know, there's a lot of people in the comment section talking about like she was assaulted and raped in that experience, and it's just a loser talking to her for 2 minutes. You know, so but I mean, of
Oh
course, you do have to
God.
be
See,
alarmed of your safety, but you also shouldn't talk about it as though you were 100% in danger, because I think this is probably just a loser incel as opposed to someone who might stalk her.
yeah, no, and now I get now the little bit you just said, how people are saying like with this interaction, it's almost like if she was assaulted or raped. I have
You know what?
I have a brain aneurysm when people talk like that and like water down those words.
Oh yeah, and I don't know that I ever saw someone directly say it's as though she was raped, but they're using very. I think one of the most toxic things about feminism as of late is the language that people use when talking about something like this is often similar to the language that people use when talking about rape. Like so, for
Mhm.
example, when you say the word non-consent or a non-consensual encounter, everyone is hearing rapey language. You're conjuring up images of rape when you hear those words relating
Yeah.
to something kind of sexual.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I
people
mean? And
say
when you're
people using the term non-consensual usually it's usually to do that. It's usually to conjure up that
right,
particular thing. I've seen it done when people are interacting with police. It's like, no, this is a non-consensual stop. Da, 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 da. It's like that's all of them.
yeah, it's such bad faith, and it's teaching people to catastrophize, which is not good for them. But the
Or
main
anyone,
reason I
yeah.
wanted to main reason I wanted to watch this clip is have you heard of the book The Coddling of the American Mind?
The coddling of the American mind.
I forget the name of the author now, but it's every kind of anti woke person's go to book. It was written by an NYU professor who is, a Biden supporting Democrat, so it's not like a far right wing book. And it talks about how students have become fragile over the years, and it's not a Jordan Peterson style everything's a Marxist conspiracy. It actually takes something of an honest look at it.
Yeah.
And one of
Oh,
the
here it
points
is.
that it, one of the
I found it. Coddling of the American mind, how good intentions and bad ideas are setting up a generation for failure. Greg Lukinoff and Jonathan Haddett. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I think it's hide it. But anyways, so one of the points that book brings up that I think is pretty good. Kids are learning how to drive later in life. They're getting a job later in life. People are doing things later, and I think that in many cases that includes going out and talking to people. Now, I assume the dude in this video is around her age. He doesn't say
Yeah.
his age, but his tone of voice kind of sounds like he's around her age.
Yeah, she
This
says
video to me,
19 and he definitely himself seems like he might be at that age.
his tone of voice to me sounds like he's around that age. And also, I mean, like, there's a lot of incels out there, but I think your 25-year-old who's a little afraid of women still does better than that. I think this is like the first time this dude's ever talked to a fucking girl. So
Oh,
what's kind
that's
of
so true.
interesting about this? So what's
Yeah.
interesting about this video is it looks like a middle school cafeteria. Like when you're in middle school or and you're in high school and you decide you're going to talk to a girl for the first time, you walk over and it kind of looks like this. And now we
Oh,
see
yeah.
19-year-olds, 20, now you see 19-year-old, 20-year-olds doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
there's like this delayed reaction and socialization with kids, it seems.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of that has to do with I feel like a lot of it has to do with this because obviously I haven't read the book yet, the coddling thing, but it feels more like a dumbing down has happened with when it comes to schools and everything because obviously underpaid people at public schools, underfunded activities for kids at school. There's
I
not
think a
enough
lot.
chances.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with schools being for profit and the
Yeah.
students are the customers. So
And so instead of actually teaching them how to interact with the world and teaching
right,
them how to survive once they're out of school, it's just okay. Product number two. I mean, Jimmy is in. It's it's just bullshit.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just I read that book a while ago, but so I don't remember it that exceptionally well. But it went through some examples of you know universities caving to students, and one of the earliest ones was a long time ago, like maybe like '09 or something like that. There's an instance where a janitor, who I think was a minority of some kind, was reading a book about Nazis in America. He was reading a history book about Nazis in America that is an anti-Nazi book,
Hmm.
but there's like a picture of a Nazi and it, facing off with a union worker or something on the cover. And one student said that he was uncomfortable with the janitor reading that book, and they fired the janitor.
What
You know,
the heck?
so things like that. Why did they do that? Consumerism. The kid is a paying customer.
I. Mm-hmm. I feel like so I keep saying this whenever the topic of of like education, healthcare, or infrastructure comes in. All of our problems can be boiled down to fucking capitalism.
Well, here's an antidote. One really not scary moment, but one moment that blackpilled me on modern feminism a little bit. Several years ago, maybe like 6 years ago, I was on a date with a woman who she was in like her late 20s, early 30s, and was going back to school, and she was studying sociology. And at some point, she said that her last boyfriend raped her. Like out of nowhere, that's what she said. And she starts kind of talking about it, and I'm like, by the way, she doesn't seem like phased by it. Like she's talking about it like she's talking about the weather.
She's talking about it like
So
she tripped over. Oh, by the way, I tripped over a rock yesterday. I'm right.
yeah, yeah. So I start to ask her like, okay, so like what happened if you're comfortable talking about it? And she was like, well, he said he was committed to me, and he clearly wasn't because we broke up. So like all those times that we had sex, that was rape.
Oh my
And this woman was
god.
going to school for sociology. She could hypothetically be teaching that shit to college students now. Now, I'd like to think that if she said that out loud, she would get her ass fucking handed to her by a professor. I'd like to think she didn't get that very far, or maybe she was catfishing me and not going back to school. But that was just fucking terrifying.
That is terrifying. I hate that. Oh my god. That's because I have heard I have heard that argument from people, and it's the dumbest thing in the world. I usually just avoid those people because I can't stand this whole idea of they
Well, the thing that
emotionally
drives
raped me. That's they call it
yeah.
emotional rape.
Well, the thing that drives me crazy about that is I know this woman's going around saying it because she's found a group of people who will affirm the idea. Right? She's got some people who will tell her this idea is correct, or else she would not feel comfortable running around saying it to strangers.
Yay, internet culture. Fucking hell.
But no, I
that's
know
an
it's easy
issue.
to dismiss anecdotes, and that's the craziest story I have. But
Yeah.
over the last, post-Trump era, I think I've probably got like 3 or 4 stories that are almost that fucking crazy. And 3 or 4 is enough to see a pattern. Like if you
Oh
lived
yeah.
in a neighborhood, like if you lived in a neighborhood your whole life, and you never ever heard like some over the top old school racist shit, like you never heard 1950 style racism, and all of a sudden over the course of a few years you met like 4 people who talked that way, you'd acknowledge something's a little bit up.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what happened with me when it came to the post Trump, mid Trump era stuff. I was like super sheltered as a kid, and into my
Mm-hmm.
adulthood, and then 2016 came around, kind of got fired up into
Right.
politics, and then I finally actually started seeing all this stuff. It was never now was it thrown at me a lot? Luckily, no, because when when I had anonymity online, I didn't do it to get attention. I did it to gather information and look at
Oh yeah,
stuff.
that's why I do it too.
Yep,
Yep.
and people and then once I started showing off that yes, I am a black man online wanting to talk about these things that I am passionate about, you'd be surprised. It surprised me as to who was the first to start being racist towards me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there was a study done several years ago. I think it was from Yale. This one blackpilled me a little bit too, where the study showed, and again, it's Yale, it's like a, hypothetically somewhat liberal school,
Mhm.
that liberal people spoke to black people with significantly dumbed down language. Like they talked to them at a third grade level, and conservative people talked to them the exact same way.
Yep.
And that blew my mind because I grew up thinking the opposite was true.
Yep. I yeah, yeah, there's a reason like the only reason why the only reason I've ever dumbed down my language was when the person has shown that they deserve the dumb down. Most of the time I will start off with I usually will start off with like, okay, you're at my level if you're willing to talk to me, so I'm going to speak to you like like an actual person who knows at least basic college level shit. Let's go ahead and chat. Like,
Absolutely.
but then so many people show their ass and no, and I've legitimately had moments where, yes, liberal people have spoken to me, where they thought at first that I was just some white boy. I'm not kidding. They thought I was a white dude because I had because I had anonymity. The moment they found out I was
Sure.
black, their tone changed,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah. Well,
it turned into, now understand, we're doing what's best. Bay, like, I want to strangle you.
oh yeah.
And I was
Absolutely.
like, shit pissed me off.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt. All right. Let's move on to the next example.
Yeah. Let me see which is the best one. We're still talking, of course, about dating. So, okay. Let's go with Let's go with our the new girl on the block, Farah Khalidi.
I don't know how to pronounce her name, but
Yeah.
I'll tell the chat in advance. When we decided on this topic, there was a part of me that wanted to just like use her clips on whatever as the focal point for the whole discussion because they're just so entertaining. But I don't want to. It always looks bad when you obsess over one person like that.
Oh yeah, if it can be done well enough to where you're not obsessing over the person. It's just that this woman's actually so smart, at least in my eyes,
Well,
that
no, I think she's the most talented feminist debater in the internet sector that I've seen in a very long time.
okay, great. I'm glad we agree
I
with this.
I disagree with her on a lot of things, but I see raw talent and intelligence.
Yeah. So yeah, I find
Uh,
I find a lot of her points really good. I'm gonna go ahead and play it about a minute and 5 seconds. We'll have the full thing go through and then we'll talk. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. When I next speak, that's when we'll go
All right, cool.
and go.
What would
Ideal
be
is
your
what you think
ideal
ideal
that
is.
you would want to have in a guy so that
That's
you will have
value to
sex
you.
with them?
For me, romantic chemistry is incredibly volatile. It's not based on any barometers of like, oh, he's in school, he has this career or anything.
So it
for
could just
me.
be random dude off the street.
100%. I am not hypergamous at all.
You are so hypergamous, you won't have sex with a guy until the guy is the guy that you're looking for.
Of course, and then if I have had sex with guys and then they made less than me, and then you'd say, oh, because we broke up, it proves that none of those interactions counted, right?
I think the fact that you are a virgin right now just proves a point that you're like to a very high degree.
The fact that I'm abstinent means that I'm waiting for someone richer than me.
No, hypergamy doesn't mean women are bad.
When did I say bad? When did I even imply that?
Hypergamy is just an algorithm. It's an evolutionary adaptation that women have. It's not a negative or positive thing.
I'm
That's
not
fine.
sure if it's an evolutionary adaptation. I think the reason women have historically been hypergamous is because they were barred from higher education. So obviously the average man was going to earn more than them. But by 2050, we're going to see a total reversal of hypergamy. And they're
Hypergamy existed before there was
outgraduating.
money.
Hypergamy has nothing to do with money.
I'm using the current definition of hypergamy, which is that women date someone with a superior sociological or monetary background.
What would
Ideal.
Okay. Oh. Did not mean to have that play again. Okay. Let's bring that back up. Okay. Okay.
All right. So why don't you go first with your thoughts?
Okay. So when I was first watching this, the guys who were talking about like women are hypergamous and stuff like that. I'm gonna almost like go backwards from the clip. At the end there, when she pointed out what she meant by hypergamous and what the usual term for it is.
Well, first of all, I do want to point out I googled the term, and she is wrong. If you I don't know if what definition she's referring to, but if you Google it, it does not say sociological and financial. It says sociological and educational. Now, I don't think there's an enormous difference between the two. I think whatever general points you want to say under either one of those definitions are about the same.
Oh, hypergamy, marriage into an equal or higher caste or social group. That's another definition for it too. Merriam-Webster.
All right.
That one. So I think I feel like all three of them work. Yeah, all three of them work in a way.
Sure. Anyways, go on.
Yeah. Let me just so I'm remembering how she said it.
to do with money?
I'm using the current definition of hypergamy, which is that women date someone with a superior sociological or monetary background.
Yeah, she says the current definition, because obviously definitions change over time, and hypergamy nowadays people usually will mean it in this sense nowadays, where it's
Of
with
hypergamy, which is that
a
women date someone with a superior sociological or
superior or sociological or monetary background. That is usually what people will talk about when they say talk about hypergamy. And the bit that she said that definitely clicked, I believe, that definitely clicked, at least for me, was just before that, saying like the reason why women were so hypergamous for so many years was because women were of course barred from any higher education or good paying jobs, so of course they had to go after a guy who made more money so that they can survive.
Oh yeah, of course, and there's no doubt that that's true. But it's also true that in this year there aren't dark spirits from the 15th century forcing you to go for a richer guy. You know,
No,
you
yeah.
have free will, and feminists have been talking these talking points for many decades. So like you're not being strangled by some kind of superior spiritual force that's forcing you to not go for richer guys. So I mean, like that's not a reason why anymore. That's a reason why it's been historically true, but
Yeah.
that isn't a reason for a woman in 2024 to justify that interest.
Well, and no, and there's where the thing is. It's that right. She said by 2050 there will be a possible total flip, which means that it has been slowly gaining to where there's a possible of it either equaling out or as saying flipping by 2050. Um, which shows that like generations have been taught on this certain way. So in 2024, yes, there women do not have to go after richer men, be more hypergamous and stuff like that. But it's kind of almost taught to them to be that way still. Like
Well, I
it's a
think she's
constant
saying that
generational thing.
sure. I think she's saying that the switch is going to happen because there are more women in universities right now. So
Hmm.
hypothetically, over the next couple decades, women will be the top earners over men, which seems very possible.
Yeah.
In which case, men would be approaching it from the quote unquote hypergamous viewpoint.
Yeah,
So
instead of women coming to them, men will go to will actually start going after going for women who are more as yeah who are
right,
more ahead of them.
sure. Now, what's interesting in 2024 about this? Now, first of all, of course, a lot of women are not interested in marrying for money, and there are a lot of women who don't go for guys of the same economic stature as them, or or go for a higher one. But what is true is even with a lot of women who are interested in guys who make less money or who are cool with a guy making less money, the turn-ons are still uh, they're still class statuses. It's still women love a guy who's traveled a lot. You know, how you dress makes a huge difference. It's still class symbols that will attract a lot of women, even if they're not interested in marrying up. And then on top of that, I know it's anecdotal. I've met so many women who do really well, like like high end lawyers and stuff like that, who treat their husband who don't do anything like absolute shit. Like they're still not attracted a lot of the time to the guy who makes less money.
Oh yeah, that's a definitely. Oh God,
Yeah, that
sorry, I
doesn't.
was trying to blow
Yeah,
something
and
away.
by the way, that doesn't mean that the red pill guys are totally right and that women
Yeah,
100% are just trying to get the bag. That's absolutely not true. But there's no doubt that anyone who does well in life, a majority of them pick up superficialities, and a majority of them are attracted to kind of things that are attractive to the upper class at parties. They still want you to fit in at brunch.
yeah. Makes make it God, my brain likes to fry itself at the most unopportune times.
No worries.
Yeah, people God, I literally lost
No,
everything. I'm sorry.
no worries, no worries. But hold on, I've got a thought in my head that's a little unrelated. But you know what's really mind blowing to me? All
Hmm.
these red pill guys who were like bitching about Sydney Sweeney's tits or like videos of women dancing like it's some horrible thing. That was definitely not a thing with right wingers or with pickup artist types like 10 years ago. Like where the fuck did that come from?
I'm not fully sure. Is there it might be it just may or may not be a thing where the right wing and the religious right especially started being very started being uh very much wanting to control women, and the idea that women are able to go out, do these dances and stuff, just have fun, be fun loving and everything like that. um
I think that's part of it
yeah.
for sure, but I think it's deeper because like you watch the Whatever podcast, for example, and I think a lot of those guys, like I looked at the channel once and like did a deep dive. I think they were doing like that kind of pickup artist content sort of stuff like 10 years ago. Like and what they're talking about now with the religious aspects is just so antithetical to that. Like it's I mean the easy answer is to say it's a grift, which it
Yeah,
probably is.
it's a mixture.
But
It's a mixture of a grift, but like I said, it's also a control thing. They want to try and they're what they're trying to do, and this is how I see it. They're trying to get into everyone's mind that women are not allowed to have the rights that we've given that they've had all this time. We need to control them because they're getting they're getting out of control. We need to put them under our control, kind of stuff. And by making to where, oh, they're doing fun little dances, stop them. They're dressing how they want to dress, stop them. Like it's all that. It's just it's a control thing. It's turned into that instead of just like you're saying, it used to just be like a dating, it used to be like a date guru stuff. All that stuff started failing because women don't like that shit most of the time nowadays. So
what's sad about red pill guys and about the dating guru guys is there is some truth to the old cliche that nice guys finish last, the old Leo DeRocha quote.
low,
But
yeah.
what's that?
Yeah, no, I know that line.
Yeah, yeah. But do you know the origins of it?
Not fully. I've heard it enough to where it's been said to me. It's
All right. I'm just gonna go on a sidetrack here because it's an
mm,
interesting thing that people don't know. Lil DeRocha was a baseball manager in the late '40s, early '50s, and you know won a bunch of World Series. He was famously the first coach for Jackie Robinson. There's an old interview with him where someone asked him, you know, you're known for being a hard ass. Why do you do that? And he says, well, because nice guys finish last. And then he starts pointing to members of the other team and he's going, hey, that dude over there, you'll never meet a nicer guy. Total fucking loser. Nice guys finish last. And he's just going one by one, saying, yeah, this dude right here, sweetheart, loser. Nice guys finish last.
that's
Anyways, I've
yeah.
go
No,
ahead.
no, yeah. That's so that's so fucking like like what was the point of that?
Yes, he's trying to say that his coaching style works because being a hard ass brings the best out of people. But
See that's like with training and everything. I always and I'm that's like with training and everything, and I can almost kind of
oh,
understand that.
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So this the phrase is not usually applied to training. It's usually applied to nice
To
guys,
dating and
or
shit.
nice guys to dating. Yeah, but there is some truth to it. Where part of the reason that red pill guys and all that kind of content is popular is because a lot of the time that asshole gets laid more than the nice guy, especially in their early 20s. But I think the main reason why is because the asshole is trying to get laid nonstop, and the nice guy's too shy to even try.
Yeah, they're actually looking for sometimes they might just be looking for an actual partner, so it's not like they're trying to get laid, but at the same time there's that almost there's that almost innate. I don't want to say instinctual because I it feels weird to say that, especially with our more our more higher thought process nowadays when it comes to this need almost a need to have sexual gratification. And
Right.
once you're a certain age, you know, hormones going crazy, you see hot
Right.
shig
Well,
get
I do think that men and women both are entitled to go through a little bit of a slut phase. I think it's good to go through a slut phase and to get the fuck out of it.
right. Oh, and it also helps immensely because then eventually, if you might during that slut phase, you might even find your forever partner among that because then you might find someone that you click with sexually compatibly in terms of sexual gratification,
Mm.
which
No.
I've noticed I've actually talked to and I used to be friends with people who got married at a young age, no sex before that. They are now divorced because their sexual libidos are nowhere near the same. Like
Oh yeah.
they can't. Yeah, if you can't have sex with your partner, because there's issues because one likes it this way, the other one hates it the other one hates it that way. It's like what the fuck you gonna do? There's no
Oh
sexual
yeah.
compatibility.
It's extremely common. I think one of the healthy things about the approach people have to modern dating is not getting married at a young age. Like I said, you should go through a little bit of a slut phase. You should,
Mm-hmm.
date a few people seriously to understand what works for you. I think that that's a healthy approach. I think there's a lot of unhealthy things being done in that process. But I think that's much better than getting married at 18 because you want to have sex for the first time and you don't believe in sex without marriage. That's more of a disaster.
You definitely have a lot more leftist views a lot more leftist views than I thought, and I'm cool and I like that, even though you don't
Yeah.
really side with it too much.
Well, what's funny is when I go online, I would much rather debate the left because I'm more frustrated with them. You and I are just having a
Oh
conversation right now,
yeah, no,
but
no,
but but
I get
but
that.
I'm
Oh my
more
god.
angry. I'm more angry at the left, so I want them to be better.
Oh yes, that is so true. I've
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm probably on your chat and on your social circles. I probably am a radical right winger compared to them, but definitely more left leaning than I can imagine. I come off on Twitter.
There was yeah, there was I believe it was Nyx. You had that one bad interaction with her, and she had
With
kind of
who?
a I believe Nyx, Nyx
I don't
Moon,
know
I
who she
believe.
is off the top. Remind me what the interaction was.
Um, fuck, it's been a while. But the interaction, like she kind of was hostile with you almost immediately because she saw
Oh,
that
I
you were
I remember this.
following.
This is a trans woman, right?
Yeah, he's
Okay,
like,
I don't remember what it was about, but I remember you entering the chat to kind of say, "Hey, this dude's more reasonable than you think."
yeah, like I had speak with you enough to where I'm like, nah, you're chill, you're pretty cool, like you can ease off of them, it's not what you think when it comes to the following list, because what she did was she saw who you were following and saw who you had liked and stuff, and immediately
Right?
thought,
Yeah,
oh, you're
that happened. That happens all the time, and
yeah,
I follow a lot of accounts that I 100% disagree with, and then there are a lot of accounts that probably are considered problematic in left wing circles where I'll occasionally like what they have to say,
you know.
but
No, yeah, no, I get that, and it's because you're actually being extremely nuanced. You're not doing team plays. You're doing
right.
your own like research and understanding of different topics.
Correct, and thank you. That's the highest compliment I think I could receive in terms of political discourse.
Oh no, that's the things things you'll learn about me as we get closer. I am among the most charitable person you'll ever speak to. If someone wants to tell me what their thought process was for a thing, I will believe them until they show otherwise. And so
Oh no,
far, you
you've
have
you've you've
yeah
already you've already shown me that, I think.
yeah like
All right, let's move the love fest in
oh
private someday.
yeah.
Let's all right, let's pick another example. What's next on the board?
What was another thing? Sorry, I'm trying to be sure because we'll go to the other one. I completely forget what this one was. This is also this is also Farah Khalidi Khalidi,
Oh yeah,
the
this
one
is
against
the
Michael Knowles.
cleaning one, I think. The one
Yeah,
about
the
women cleaning
oh or men
and toxic masculinity. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
toxic masculinity and shit. Which this
All right,
ooh
this is gonna reveal one of my more right wing sides. I think
possibly this
possibly. All right.
is because this is definitely because I don't know how you feel about Michael Knowles or the things he says here. I'll go ahead and play it and then we'll talk. It's about a
All
minute
right.
30.
All right.
There's a ton of marriages in which women are also working and then also shoring up a lion's share of the household duties, and that's why they're unhappy, because now they're being burdened in two directions.
But so what's the solution to that?
Men shoring up more on domestic duties, but they won't because of freaking tradcons and neocons who are telling them that it's gay and beta if they do these certain tasks.
It is gay and beta most of the time. I agree.
And I also think that's why men are suffering. So, for instance, like the unemployment rate of men returning back to the workforce is very, very high right now, and that's because feminists are kind of pushing for this like revanchist return to just like older times. And even though you claim you're not trying to turn the clock back, a lot of the solutions that feminists are advocating for just won't help men, because the burgeoning sectors right now are overly feminized. It's stuff like nursing, childcare, hospitality, and these industries are actually reaching out to men and they're trying to recruit them, but a lot of men will turn them down, and instead they're sitting on their ass. They're addicted to opiates. Like over half of unemployed men are addicted to some sort of painkiller. They're playing video games all day. They're to porn, which is yes one problem, but there's so many others. And feminism is what's telling men like leave your toxic masculinity behind, join a nursing career, join a teaching career, but they won't do it because of tradcons and neocons telling them that they're gay and beta if they do these kind of like unwarrior like positions.
But I do think that it's not just a matter of social construction. I think women are more nurturing.
The nursing programs and teaching programs have like put out research of why men won't join these industries despite them reaching out, and one of the biggest reasons is because they feel like it's overly feminine. Do you think that's due to liberal feminism or due to conservatism?
No, I think it's just natural. I think the men should work, but they should maybe do things that they're more inclined to do. I don't think we need to conscript men to go become nurses wearing frilly little dresses.
And why do you see that as putting on a frilly dress to go into like nursing and hospitality?
Because you're using that example.
You're presupposing that it's feminine and gay. You're doing the thing.
It is more feminine, yeah.
There's a ton of marriages.
Okay, there we go. Want to at least have the screen on the thing. Why men are struggling. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about like the toxic masculinity of like not accepting jobs because it's seen as gay and beta.
Sure. So the first thing I want to point out is I looked it up, and if you look up the stats for men and women returning to the workplace, there's virtually no difference. There's like a 0.5 difference or a 0.3 difference. So right off the bat, I won't say it's totally misleading, but it's a little misleading to imply that there's a problem with male employment versus female unemployment, within these kind of blue collar jobs or entry level jobs of any kind, because that's to me a 0.5 difference or 0.3 or whatever it is not a significant difference to say there's a big problem there.
Yeah, I get that.
But go ahead. I'll let you get it rolling.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. With that. Said. There's definitely the thing that here, like, in this clip with Michael Knowles, he said like men not wanting to be in frilly little dresses or whatever when it comes to like in nursing and everything, which do things like nursing or what was the other ones?
I think
nursing, hospitality, care.
I think that's a sense of humor. I think that's an attempt at humor. I don't think that he actually believes that all nurses wear frilly little dresses.
It's the weirdest. It's the weirdest way to do humor, considering that we're talking about like a way for men to not only get into work that they may end up liking. It feels kind of it's almost like insulting to the many men who are already in those nursing careers. You wearing the same scrubs that their women coworkers wear. I can't see that as humor. I see that as him having an almost fetishization of nursing. He thinks when he hears nurse, he thinks the stereotype that you see in pornos. That's what that's the way he speaks.
It can be both of those things. His brain could go to a porno, and he could also be trying to make a joke. Now, one thing that I've noticed, that is his brand of humor. It's similar to Tucker Carlson's. It's similar to Ben Shapiro. All of those guys have that same brand of humor, which I'd say 80% of the time is not very funny. but I mean, like, it reminds me a long time ago. The first time I remember watching Tucker Carlson on CNN, there was some kind of discussion relating to Canada, and he just kept making jokes about Canada being really into dog sledding. Like that was like someone would try to make an articulate point, and he just talked about, yeah, Canada's really into dog sledding. I think they should be more concerned with their dog sledding. Like these guys have that sense of humor. It's very consistent. Uh, it's
Is
very consistent
with
brand of humor that they all throw around all the time, and it's really lame dad jokes.
Yeah, the way it just always it always comes across not even as humor. It comes across as it definitely comes across as just full on deflections
100%. 100.
from actual like talks.
Oh yeah, one hundred
Yeah.
percent. But all right. Let me give a not so leftist point of view about this that he totally failed to make. I personally don't care about the diversity of any profession that doesn't have a particular amount of power. What I care about is that the average person, most people on this planet, have a decent quality of life. And if the end result of that is some professions are predominantly male, some are predominantly women, I don't give a fuck. And when we're talking about nursing, we're talking about a good valid profession, but it's not a profession where you have any kind of particular amount of power. So I don't feel any kind of pressure to diversify it. Now, her main point was that men are cutting themselves short by not going into a predominant, traditionally feminine job. But as I already explained, the difference isn't that big. So I don't view that as much of a problem. And it sounds really kind of cringy and cheesy to say, but there aren't there there's no pressure to have female bricklayers. There's no pressure to have more women in construction or to be loggers or anything like that.
I can see where you're going from with that. Because it's not like a lot it's not even like a lot of women are, especially with how they've been taught over the years. Again, I always see it as a thing of like what's the word, uh social it's a socialization, a way, almost a way that women were taught as growing up to be, to where that is where they where they will refuse, or they're not as inclined to go for these more male dominated roles. I have seen plenty of women in construction and stuff, and they
Oh yeah,
do
they're
amazing
out there.
work.
They are. Oh, 100%. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's still overwhelmingly male. I'm sure that
Yeah.
the percentages are similar to the distance between men and women in nursing.
It's probably a lot like that. Now I would I would love it if it became a lot more even in all of those in all those different fields, which is why I would be fine with more with definitely with more men definitely getting into the nursing and care and teacher roles. Uh
See,
uh
I don't. I see. To me, I wouldn't care if nursing increased male roles or decreased. It wouldn't matter to me because that's not really a job that has some kind of societal representation that's exceptionally important. It's an important job, but it's not
yeah.
like they're not passing any laws or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they should pass laws say like, hey, men have to take this kind of job. Like, no, that's dumb. Uh, uh,
Oh no, no. I mean, nurses are not writing any legislation themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. Anyways,
Uh, God. But she did say in the clip that it's like a lot of these jobs that are I think she said they're undersaturated, or like there's so little with them right now because of it's understa I think I think she said understaffed when it comes to those.
yeah.
So
She.
she
I.
says,
I thought she said nursing was. I forget now. I believe she said nursing was understaffed, and they're outreaching to men to try to do the staffing. So if that's the frame, then it's less that men are shorting themselves by not going for the job, and more so that they need more people.
Yeah,
But
they need more people, and um, it's definitely it definitely would help if men did, toss away this nonsense of, oh, it's feminine, I can't do it.
can we
It's like,
can we definitely say? I know she kind of asserts that that's why men aren't going to the nursing field, but are we totally
that is a
confident about that?
reasoning. That is a reasoning, but it's I'm gonna say it's not the main, but it's definitely a
Sure,
very strong reason.
sure, like it, but if I was looking for a job right now, I don't think I'd be leaning towards nursing because we just had COVID, so the idea of sickness passing along is a little fresher in my head. So I might pick
Yeah.
something else first. There's
Yeah,
all
no.
sorts of reasons beyond that.
Yeah. And I th- I also think another reason why men don't usually go for these type of roles is because when they were growing up, they were never taught how to be they were never taught how to be as caring and nurturing as women were when they were girls. Like, because it's kind of burned into you as you're growing up. Girls need to be the motherly, maternal, caring people, while the men have to be the big manly lift things and hammer things here kind of thing. It's
Now, do you think how much of that do you think is societal pressures and societal brainwashing? Because part of me, I've always partially believed that the nurturing elements from women, and this, some people might roll their eyes at this, but because they physically carry the child, there's more of a closeness to the child because they physically carry it in the
with
womb.
physically carrying the child. I Obviously there's going to be that bit when it's like taking care of when it comes to like taking care of your kid. But if we're talking
Well,
about like being a teacher or a nurse who takes care of other adults and stuff, take care of
right.
other adults or take care of other kids that are not yours.
I would. Well, all right. So some people might find this sexist, but I would find that the women who are, stereotypically more nurturing than men are women who have children.
I'm sorry. Can
I
you
would.
repeat
I would.
Can you repeat that sentence? I
I
think I
it,
blanked out as a word or
sure.
two.
Sure. So anecdotally, I would say that women who are more that stereotypical nurturer, in a way that your average man can't come close to, are mothers. I would say.
Uh, I can almost get that. At least understand
I
that
mean, there's
that
exceptions.
viewpoint.
There's exceptions to every rule, of course, but just
Of
in
course.
my observation, I would say the overwhelmingly empathetic, sympathetic woman cliche. When I meet them, they're people who have children.
Yeah, and I would probably think that that has to do with the hormones that go through your body as you are birthing the kid, the different things that are happening to your brain and your chemical makeup while you're birthing the kid. It
Very
definitely will
possible.
affect it'll definitely affect a woman.
Right.
But I so there definitely is an aspect of it that is almost biological in a way, kinda. But of course, there's still going to
Well, I
be
mean,
those
yeah.
exceptions.
I mean, all elements that have a little bit of biological elements to them and a little bit of societal brainwashing.
Yeah, like for me, I'll go ahead and this is extremely anecdotal because it's personal stuff for me. I was
Sure.
raised very specifically by just women. I had like no male figure in my life except for the anime characters that I later went on to watch. Not a joke.
Interesting.
Uh,
Okay.
so most of the personality you see is because I was raised mainly by women my entire life, with, of course, like I said, just animated male characters. So I would say I definitely have a more nurturing and maternal sense, or paternal, considering I still am biologically male. um I'm a little bit more nurturing when it comes to kids and stuff, uh in the way that you would see a recently pregnant or recently had given birth mother. I usually am like the first when it comes to helping kids. When it comes to helping mothers with their kids, I'm usually the first to jump at that to jump at the chance to make sure that not only she gets rest, but also that the kid is safe and cool and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that you would see a woman doing when it comes to a kid to make sure they're okay, that I would do it. I would take care of my cousins. I would take care of the young kids at the daycare I used to go to. Even when I was I was like among the oldest at that daycare, I would take care of the other kids around me.
Cool. So I mean that's awesome, but yeah, I would say that what's happening there is learned behavior from maternal like figures.
Mm-hmm. Which again,
So
that's
all
what I
right.
was.
So this
That's where the societal like teaching thing comes in, because then of course I'm an outlier. I was raised by my grandmother, and
yeah
her sister and all the other female in my and the other females in my
right.
family, but a lot of
So
other
this is
male
this
and
is
females are raised by
yeah
a father, and a mother. Sometimes just a father, sometimes just a mother. So it's
right.
always, but the way society is taught majority of the time is it makes women always grow up to be the maternal one and the male. I don't fully know what goes on there.
So this might make you laugh. You know who I was thinking of when you were talking about your background?
Mhm.
I read Quentin Tarantino's book a couple years ago, and he talks about how he was raised entirely by women, a single mom who had like a bunch of female roommates, and he felt that male movie characters were kind of like his dads.
Quint. Yay! I
So
have
so
something
so
called Quentin Tarantino.
so you got a similar background there. You picked anime. I think he picked film noirs and shit like that.
Yeah. So Luffy is my father. Um.
There, there you go. Oh man.
uh.
All right. You know what I'm kind of surprised? I'm surprised we haven't talked about Andrew Tate yet.
I almost don't want to. That's why.
Well,
Like
so
I. Yeah.
so the reason I wanted to bring him up was like maybe 30 minutes before the podcast started, I was thinking you might bring up Andrew Tate because that's kind of an obvious topic. And I don't know that much about him. I just know I kn- but I have an interesting theory, something that people can kind of look into with him. So I never heard of him until that day he was banned from like all social media. Remember, like what was it last year, like early last year, he was
like
banned from
mid like
everything.
like mid last year, yeah. Like the
Yeah,
Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube were all
yeah.
like, finally, the rapist is gone, because
Yeah.
he's
So
known
so
as
that
a
was the
rapist,
so that
child trafficker, sex
yeah,
trafficker.
yeah. So I had never heard of this dude until that day.
Mhm.
So naturally, I went on YouTube to see whatever clips were still up, and other people posting them. And the first clip I saw was one of him basically talking about how you should choke women if they don't listen to you. So right off the bat, I knew this. So right off the bat, I knew this dude was a total fucking piece of shit.
That's why I didn't want to talk
But
about him. Fuck.
but here's why I wanted to bring him up because I noticed something interesting. The only other clip that was up, aside from other like 30-second clips of him saying ridiculous things, was a long form interview with him and Dave Portnoy, where he makes Portnoy look like a third wave feminist, which is hysterical. But the thing I noticed that blew my mind that I kind of want to talk to you about, he plagiarizes Camille Paglia all the fucking time.
Camille Paglia. That's a name I don't think I know too much.
All right, so Camille Paglia, I'm not totally confident in my time frame here, but she was a feminist figure who went to Yale in the early days of women getting accepted to Yale.
The American academic and social critic,
Yes, that would be her.
Camille Anna Paglia.
Ver
Okay, got it.
if yeah, you've probably well, if you're a little older, she used to be on TV a lot, and now she's kind of. I'll tell the full story. So I think it's either the 50s or the 60s. She's going to Yale, and it's like the first period where there's a lot of women at Yale. And the policy at Yale at that time was men were allowed to go out. Either they had no curfew or their curfew was like 3 a.m. or something like that. And women's curfew was like 10 or 9 or something. And the reason given was, well, you could get assaulted, you could get raped. And Camille Paglia became very famous for protesting this policy and successfully overturning it. And her famous quote is, "Women deserve the right to risk rape. There's a very famous quote of hers, and if you watch if you watch interviews with her today, she still repeats it over and over again like it's her greatest hit, and she's a singer. But anyways,
It's her piano man.
exactly. So over time, she kind of went at odds with the feminists as the '60s movement moved forward and the '70s movement moved forward. Her attitude towards feminism was more along the lines of, I got you that fucking curfew so you could learn how to be tougher and stronger than these men, not so you could complain about these men. She never said those exact words, but that's the gist
That's
of her work from that point.
yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. He's found a feminist figure that he can kind of quote a little bit
So
within his wheelhouse.
he cherry picks her in such a way that it works with whatever his weird fucking views
Yeah,
are.
now I have some respect for Polly. There's things she says that I like, some things that I don't like. But I'm
Really.
pretty fucking confident that if your average, Gen Z millennial was familiar with her work, they'd hate her. They'd hate her almost as much as Tate. But one clip in that was really interesting was he quotes her verbatim, like absolutely verbatim, where she says something like, and this was an old study, and she might have even been the one who put it together, that said there are a lot of men with really low IQs and a lot of men with really high IQs. And women consistently had a pretty average IQ. Now I can see how that could be true in like the '60s. That kind of makes a lot of sense that is the way that IQ tests would work out back then. So that's a study that she talked about a lot back in the day. And at some point in that Portnoy interview, he quotes her verbatim, like word per word, inflection per inflection. And then he's like, I forget where I heard that, but I heard that.
Oh my god. That's actually
Oh,
stupid as shit.
oh man. So yeah, so the dude's also a plagiarist of cherry picking plagiarist of a '70s feminist.
Jesus Christ. I I've definitely noticed that with con artist grifters and just terrible people in general. Um they're always going to end up using that small kernels of truth mixed in with their massive amounts of lies, or the cherry picking of like, hey, look, I used this particular person who was respected, so you have to listen to me, kind of a thing.
Right. Well,
It's annoying.
what's interesting is there's no doubt he knows where that quote comes from since he's doing it verbatim and even sounds like her when he's fucking speaking it. So when he chooses to say, I don't know where I heard that, I forget where it came from, like he's trying to pass it off like an original thought.
Do you remember what the line what one of the lines were?
So basically explaining that study that says that there are a lot of male geniuses and a lot of male morons and consistently average IQ across women. The quote that Talia once said was something along the lines of, um, there's no female Einstein, just as there's no female Jack the Ripper.
Because of child.
Hmm. Let me see it. I pulled out the Wikipedia for her. Jesus, I get washed out in this screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you noticed that Wikipedia doesn't link people like they used to? Like you're reading an article and it'll bring up a name like it's linking people less, or am I going crazy? Or did I just coincidentally stumble across a few pages that did that?
Um, I think you just stumbled across a few pages because with Camila Paglia here, um, obviously I can go through all of her different things, feminism, and they have all the different links to different people, what she's talking about, the books. It's definitely sourced well enough to where if you're willing to look, if you're willing to find it, if you're willing to actually read through stuff, you're able to find
Yeah,
anything you need out of her. So
yeah,
Wikipedia
yeah.
is still good.
I would recommend anyone out there if they're looking to engage with ideas that are somewhat similar to someone like Jordan Peterson, that are 1,000 times more well written and more intelligent. I would recommend checking out Palia.
Yeah, that Yeah, commit. Yeah, let me
but they won't do it
put her
because of
name backing up again so you can see how to actually spell it. Yeah, it took me a second to figure it out. That's how you spell it. If you see it on screen there, yeah, be right, right there. That. Yeah. I feel like that covers pretty well in terms of like the whole thing with I think we've covered as much as we could when it came to I can say words. We covered what we could when it
You
came
got this.
to yeah, when it comes to the weird thing, the weird oh no, we haven't covered it fully everything. Mm, fuck, I literally lose it in like whenever I'm like ready to start talking about a certain thing and it is gone immediately.
Yeah, don't worry, man.
I really need to see if I can like like Adderall or some or whatever fucking medicine you take for being ADHD. Maybe that'll fix me. Uh,
All right, hold on one sec. I'll be right back.
okay, I'm gonna see about possibly bringing up one of your charts.
All right, I'm back.
Awesome.
So, let's see. How long have we been at it now?
Uh,
Quite a while.
about
All right,
an hour
I
and
feel like,
45.
all right, cool. I feel like, if you want, let's do one more, video or quote if we got one.
One more last little top. Let's go with the last topic when it comes to males versus females or whatever, males and females. Um, it was one of the things sent me. The political identities of 12th grade boys versus 12th grade girls, I believe it was.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So what's interesting about this came out a few months back and some people were talking about it. And I feel like the really easy interpretation feels like the right one to me, which is that these culture war discussions really feel like left-wing feminists who hate men versus right-wing red pillars who hate women. And I imagine most young kids are looking at these debates and viewing it that way.
Hmm.
So, of course, as a result, women are going to lean left and young men are going to start leaning right. So much political association is um is based on just the party that speaks positively of whatever
About you.
identity it is that you cling on to. Like,
Hmm.
why are cops conservative largely? Because conservatives say nice things about them. Why are teachers often liberal? Because liberals say nice things about them. We don't like to think that people are that simple, but they are.
Yeah.
So like if the feminist movement looks like people saying men are shit over and over again, and the conservative movement looks like people saying women are shit over and over again, yeah, of course they're going to move in that direction. And the
Yeah.
part that's scary about that is okay, how do men and women communicate if we can't discuss politics with people we disagree with, and one gender votes one way and the other gender votes the other way?
Yo, no,
Because
entirely.
older,
Because there's it's always gonna end up being it's gonna end up being like that a lot. Like it appears that we definitely have a similar viewpoint of this, at least. Then, I'm happy about that. Uh,
Mhm.
in that I've always, whenever first saw these charts, uh, I actually, that was actually my immediate thought. It's just like, oh, this makes way too much sense. There's so much shit going around where feminists, where a lot of people who are calling themselves feminists will start yelling at any random dude because he's a dude. That's like your existence is a threat to me. It's like, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that it it goes all the way back to it goes all the way back to that very first quote we did with Andrea Dworkin.
Andrea Dworkin, yeah,
Yeah, where the every woman's son is her potential betrayer, of inevitable rapist, exploiter of women, all that stuff. Like the fact that there's a lot of and lovingly now called just rad femmes, which I don't consider actual feminists. They're feminist coded radicals. I'll say that's how I would prefer. That's how I more think of them. They're now just spouting that shit unironically because
Right.
and sometime and part of me like has almost a sympathy for them when I think about it because a lot of the time, and they'll say this might also just be my charitability going into overdrive. They truly did have some kind of trauma happen to them to where they now just hate all men because someone met some man, more than likely in their family, completely fucked them over.
Very, very, very possible. I do think that I think people underestimate how common it is, not just, to suffer abuse and take on these radical views. And I would think if you're really radical, it was probably serious abuse. But I think
Mm-hmm.
people underestimate how common it is for someone to have a bad breakup and lean towards red pill or lean towards feminism for a couple of years.
Oh
And
yeah.
in a culture like today where if you say one problematic thing, the other side's not going to respect you. That's really unfortunate because it's
And
normal for people to
also
go.
being able
It's
to,
normal for people to go through phases where they believe stupid shit, and
yeah,
there's always a reason for why they believe that.
yeah, and which is why I'm always going to be someone who's charitable and open to the idea of rehabilitation and reclamation type of stuff. Like if you like 5 years ago used to say the N word randomly because you thought it was edgy, because you thought edgy and funny, cool.
Right.
I'm not gonna today call you a complete racist. I'm just gonna say, okay, you were stupid. You don't do it anymore, do you? No, it's dumb. It's like, okay, you're now a friend. Come here. I teach. I help you. I help you learn. Like that's what I wanted. That's what I want to do, especially with it with this channel, with anything that I do, with any other channels that I do. I want to be able to help teach these kind of things, and I'm happy you're along that journey with me to possibly help with that. Um, and but yeah, with these charts it shows that right now, unfortunately, thanks to how internet culture works, um a lot of the time where that bad breakup will happen, they are able to immediately latch onto a community filled with like-minded, quote, big quotes on that, uh groups that enforce whatever this nonsense is that they have in their mind. They don't actually they no long they'll hold on to those dumb views longer because they're constantly getting, as you've said earlier, uh being reinforced. Oh, oh, are you still there? What happened? Oh, you've oops, did you okay. I lost him. He's sorry. I heard you went quiet. I was like, wait, what happened?
Yep. Hold on. Yo.
Oh,
All right. We had some kind of malfunction there.
that was weird.
That was very weird.
What was the
Well,
last thing you heard?
anyways, I don't remember. All right.
Damn.
Finish your thought. We've had I think a pretty damn good second show here. So let's just finish up your thought and then we'll call it.
Uh, uh okay, I'll rewind. I'll rewind a little bit to the part of like what the overall goal of this particular thing is, because it helps with my point. Um,
Right.
due to internet culture as it is, a lot of people are in these like strange, like they gravitate towards cliques of like-minded, and putting a big quotations on that, to
Right.
uh basically stick with those, as you've already said, uh wrong and stupid views for much longer than usual. They don't get out of those extremely toxic views quickly enough. And it ends up becoming almost a lost cause, lost cause. A sunk cost,
No.
sorry, a sunk cost fallacy.
Right, right. Well,
Where,
also sometimes it feels like a lost cause too.
yeah, that too. It's both technically.
It's both those things.
Yeah. Uh, and it makes it to where it makes it like impossible for people to actually talk about this kind of stuff. And I'm hoping like with this type of with my channel, anything that I'm gonna be doing and putting out, I can show people who might be like wanting that talk, wanting to actually have that conversation. Uh, Maybe they are someone who just got out of a bad breakup. Maybe they are someone who just has this strange idea of what men are because someone on the internet told them to hate them. I'm hoping that with the way that I'm trying to build this channel, that I can be someone that you can go to or talk with to to try and break that cycle, give people the tools to actually get out there and not think of everything in the world of black and white, not think that everything is me versus him, us versus them. It's actually just humans being humans, and we need to get through all this together. And I will say I am happy so far to have you with that journey with me, and I hope you'll be here for a while.
100%. And I think that was beautifully put. And on that note, I think that concludes this episode.
Yeah, that seems like a good one on that. Yeah, thank you to anyone who did join in to watch this live, and if I get the and if I can actually get the full thing out soon, anyone who watched this, make sure to like, subscribe, comment if you want to hear other topics. I really do I really do want to be able to help the world in the best way I possibly can, and unfortunately due to financial things, it can't be done as quickly as I want, but hopefully with people willing to talk about these issues, we and it multiplying by word of mouth, we can get somewhere.
All right. We're working on it. All right, brother. I will see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll figure out whatever our next topic is by that time.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Y'all have a good one.
You too.